What's up, sickos? We were vengeance. We were the night. We were Batman! In his early days, and we brought the fight. With Joker behind bars, and behind bars again, all 8 assassins taken out of the contest for my life, and allies in Jim and his daughter secured, it's safe to put Batman Arkham Origins to bed and give it its official sickshockascore. If it's not obvious already, I am a huge Batman fan. In this particular game in the Arkham series, itched a scratch for me that we often don't get to see. While the rest of the series is set in a time where Batman is well known and trusted among other heroes, the GCPD, and the citizens of Gotham, Arkham Origins puts us back in a time in the starting days of Batman, where Bruce was beginning his night job. For us, that means we get a very angry Batman who really only cares about getting vengeance for his parents and doesn't really care how he gets it or who he hurts. This is a gritty Batman who needs to hold himself back and keep himself to his code and the one rule of do not kill. There are a couple times where we teeter that line and where Bruce himself admits he went too far. Looking at you, loose lips. This is a Batman who is learning who he truly wants to be and also understanding that if he really wants to become fear and be the reason criminals think twice at night, he needs to be more than a human and be the nightmare he wants them to see. Deep down, he truly wants to see Gotham thrive and move past its dark times. But the way he envisions it is a solo mission full of pain, suffering, and paranoia. Alfred begs Bruce many times to be a better Batman and urges him to build trust with others so he can go against the fight with a united front. But to this young Batman, no one is worthy or trustworthy to bring into his ring. We start to see that edginess break when he first meets Barbara, as she goes out of her way to not only help him break into JCPD's files, but helps distract other officers so he can make a clean escape. Then, right at the end of the game, both him and Jim start seeing eye to eye and form a mutual respect for each other and the work that they do, which is vastly different from the beginning when Bruce attacks Gordon and Gordon leads the manhunt against Batman. I can't speak enough to how amazing it was to get back to Batman's basics when he truly was out on his own, to watching him form the bonds and relationships we know he has with the GCPD and other allies like Barbara and even Alfred. But this all alone is not what makes this story one of the better ones of this series, in my opinion. In the very beginning of the story, we are introduced to Black Mask and Killer Croc as the two of them begin decimating Blackgate Prison. Black Mask was cleaning house and taking out guys who was on his payroll, which confuses both criminals and the dirty cops who met their untimely end. Black Mask is going for the top, though, and has his sights on the killing Commissioner Loeb, who ironically was about to execute another well-known Batman rogue, Calendar Man. Calendar Man is freed by Black Mask, who then throws Loeb into the gas chamber, who begins pleading for his life, confused on why Black Mask is doing all this, as he has served him well. Batman is too late to stop the assassination, and begins his battle with Killer Croc, making this their official first encounter of the series. This is where Batman learns about the plot against his own life, also set up by Black Mask for $50 million. Batman learns that Black Mask invited 8 total assassins to take him out. Those being Killer Croc, as we already knew, Deathstroke, a top-tier mercenary who only takes jobs with difficulty and pay such as this, Firefly, a man obsessed with fire and burning down Gotham, Copperhead, who is known for her flexibility, escape capabilities, and toxins, Deadshot, who is rumored to have never missed a single shot on any of his assassination jobs, Electrocutioner, who is new on the scene but has custom-built electric gloves that he uses in his fights, Shiva, who Batman has a personal history with as she is another student of Ra's al Ghul, and finally, Bane, a juiced-up muscle man with brains to boot. This is where Alfred's concerns really kick in, as he learns about the active hunt and the expertise of those hunting his adopted son. Alfred begs Bruce to take the night off as the offer ends at the end of Christmas, and let the assassins take each other out, but we all know that just isn't Batman's style. Batman's ultimate goal is to stop Black Mask and bring him in for his recent murder and all the other crimes he's known for across Gotham. but with that much money on the line, he takes each assassin down one by one until there is no one left to claim the prize. During all this, if that wasn't enough, Black Mask's apartment is attacked and burned, which sparks Batman's curiosity. He investigates and finds that the Penguin, a known weapons dealer, was being framed for the murder of Black Mask's girlfriend. He also learns that there were 3 individuals in the room at that time: Black Mask, his girl, and some mystery man who made Black Mask shoot his own girlfriend. Batman is even more intrigued as Black Mask appears to have lost that fight and was dragged off, and the timeline of this crime was prior to his most recent public appearance. Thus, we are then introduced to our secret main villain of this story, Joker. It is revealed that Joker is behind everything that has occurred so far in the hit on Batman's head. Joker was the mystery assailant in Black Mask's apartment and has been posing as him to sow chaos in the streets of Gotham. At first, Joker only really sees Batman as someone who is in the way of his crime spree, but after being saved by the Bat, Joker begins his obsession with him and wanting to break his mind then and there. Needless to say, Batman eventually catches up to the Joker and turns him over to the GCPD, but this is also in Joker's plan for the holiday season. Having changing his goals from absolute chaos to breaking the Bat, Joker shifts his attention to getting Batman to break his one rule and have him kill someone before the night is done. Joker starts a riot in Blackgate Prison, second one of the night for those of you counting at home, and of course, like the tireless hero Batman is, he shows up to put a stop to this. Batman once again catches up to the Joker, who now has Warden Joseph as a hostage, as well as Jim and himself strapped into an electric chair. Joker lays out the rules for Batman. Bane's heart is tracked by a pacemaker and will begin charging the chair with each pump of his heart. Batman must either kill Bane to stop the charging, allow the charge to complete and kill Joker and Jim along with it, or he can die. Either way, it did not matter to Joker or Bane, as Bane would get his fight to the death and Joker would either make Batman break his one rule or get him off the board completely. Batman outsmarts them all and uses the gloves he got from beating Electrocutioner to temporarily stop Bane's heart. This satisfies Joker and makes him think he won and got Batman to kill without knowing that Batman would eventually just restart his heart after everyone was safely out of the chair. Batman has one final boss fight with Bane on a new kind of venom, making him the strongest he has ever been. Once that is finished, and Bane is quite literally tied up, Batman begins his final chase for the crazed Joker. Joker makes one final attempt to get into Batman's head and make him angry enough to kill him, but Batman ultimately knocks him out and hands him over to Jim. This really is the turning point in Jim and Batman's relationship, as throughout the night, not only have they been in fighting each other, but they've been in the same fights on the same side as well, ensuring justice is found and deaths are kept to a minimum. Jim now realizes that Batman is not a madman running around Gotham because he's angry, but because he truly wants to help and weed out the crime and corruption. Bruce also realizes that Jim is somebody he can trust and rely on, and start helping him from the inside by doing things the right and legal way. The story and character developments are phenomenal, and it is so easy to get lost in the story they tell. I also think all of the major players in this game get plenty of screen time and lots of attention, which helps pull us all in as an audience and as the players. The only gripe I think I have story-wise would have to be that the Joker is once again the main villain. Remember when this game was announced, I was so excited to see that someone else was taking the lead, as well as it being Black Mask from Batman's early days. This to me was an obvious choice, and could have been such a compelling story to see how an actual mobster would handle an early Bat. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate the twist, or the fact that Joker was already in it, but when I saw the initial trailer, I was so excited to see what they were going to do with Black Mask, and it kind of stung to see it go to Joker again. Let's dive a little deeper and talk about our cast of characters here. I mentioned it earlier, but I like that the major players got a lot of screen time and attention. But I wish that applied to all of our 8 assassins in this game. Some of our assassins were sorely slept on and reduced to quick time events in a quick battle. Now, for the likes of Executioner, I get it. He's new to the universe overall and was easily the weakest of the 8. I mean, he was knocked out in one punch for their first fight. But the other 7 are longtime runners in this world and universe. Killer Croc was awesome in the opening of the game, but you can't tell me that Blackgate was prepared and had something to hold him in. I would have liked other boss fights or some kind of chase in the waters surrounding Gotham. Hell, let Croc escape for all I care. But to give him the intro fight and be done was kind of sad to see. Deathstroke should have been multiple boss fights throughout the game. He is arguably the most formidable of the 8 and one of the toughest fights in the game by far. I personally think his character should have gotten some justice and escaped or been forced to separate through various levels of this game. My idea would be show off his weapons expertise for each fight, having him use a different one. This would show off how good of a fighter Slade really is, and it would keep the players on their toes, never truly knowing when he would strike or with what method next. Firefly was an overall odd pick for me in regards to the assassins. I don't think of him right away when I think of Gotham's assassin-type villains. I would say maybe Talon would be a good replacement from the Court of Owls, but also they would never join in this kind of hunt, being out in the open like that and being super public. To me, it just seems like, we need an even number of assassins. Why don't we throw some kind of pyro type in there? Even Firefly seemed disinterested in the hunt, really only being focused on setting the bridge on fire. I don't know. He was a cool entry, but I would have liked him more as a character like Anarchy rather than one of the big 8 that we end up fighting throughout the night. Now, Copperhead's fight was really cool, but also given her skills as well, it was weird that the only difference between her and some regular goons was that her toxin made Batman fight more of her. I wish she would end up attacking us throughout the building when we saw her, showing off her abilities to vanish without a trace. For me, her fight would have been a lot cooler if she fought like Batman, in the shadows, able to use floor and air vents, and jumping around the room trying to catch her prey from above. I think that really would have showed off her shadow abilities and attacking enemies from a distance, but we really just got a hand-to-hand combat, which is fun, but I think we could have done more with her. Deadshots was probably the most disappointing for me, as it was really no different from any other goon fight. He was able to ricochet his bullets, sure, but being the expert marksman he is, I would have liked it if he were able to spot us from above, rather than just pacing and missing us on the gargoyles. To me, this was a poor showing of the character. Make his fight along various rooftops and us needing to dodge and weave our way, rather than him just on the inside with a stationary post holding a hostage. Shiva's was kind of odd, but also was very much in line with the League of Shadows for this series. She relied on her blades and other members of the League to try and overwhelm Batman and try to claim the 50 million. But that's also where it gets weird, as she gives up the chase, stating it is because she now can see why the Master chose him as the successor. I understand she was just trying to test his skills and measure him up to see if she herself deemed him worthy enough to replace the head of the League, but even still, why join the hunt then? This is something the League of Shadows just would not stoop to. It's kind of weird. Bane is done beautifully in this game. Most see Bane and think, oh, well, he's just strong and beefy. Batman can obviously outsmart this guy. But this game was true to Bane's character, being one of the smarter villains Batman has ever faced. Bane single-handedly discovered who the Batman truly was, and is the only character in the series to have done that, besides the final game. Bane even goes as far as invading Bruce's home and secret Batcave to attack his one and only ally at this point, beating Alfred enough to give him some final words with Bruce, but to the point of death. Batman luckily is able to revive Alfred, but this just goes to show how smart and capable Bane truly is as a Batman villain and not just some meathead. Bane is also the only assassin who waits with the Joker, knowing that Batman would show up and stop at nothing to get to him, as Joker became Batman's main focus. Every step of the way, Bane is one step ahead, and it's just amazing to see Bane done right in the Arkham series. Not only all of that, but at the end of the day, Bane doesn't care about the money. He really only cares to see if he can be the one that beats the Bat, and I really like that, as that's true to his character. Lastly, for our major villains here, we have the clown prince of crime himself, Joker. I love this early version of Joker, as he truly did not care about the Batman, but really only causing as much chaos and fatalities as he could to get back at the world that broke him. We get to see Joker's origin take an inspiration from the comic Killing Joke, one of my all-time favorites. And we get to see where his obsession begins with Batman and how Batman truly becomes Joker's purpose. I can't speak enough to how amazing they did writing this version of Joker. And again, while I may have wished the main villain remained Black Mask, there is no denying this was a great Joker with a great story. Some minor characters to note pretty quick would have to be the Riddler, Anarchy, Mad Hatter, Penguin, and Harley Quinn. The Riddler is interesting in this one as he, has his trophies to collect and data to steal, but his motivations are entirely different. In some stories, Edward used to work with the GCPD, and I think they kind of lean into that in this game, as he's using blackmail against those he deems criminals to clean up Gotham in his own way. Riddler points out the hypocrisy in Batman's logic, that he can do whatever he wants and it's okay, but Riddler can't do things his own way. Riddler is not obsessed with outsmarting the Batman in this one, but doesn't truly even see him as a threat, as no one has been able to challenge his mind before. It is cool to watch a different side of Eddie, going from confident to curious about who he is and why he's so smart. Anarchy is a great addition to the Batman rogues, and has found his way into the comics themselves. He was a brand new Batman character as a whole when he introduced to this game, and man, what a compelling character. Anarchy is through with the government, politicians, and the wealthy elite running things and keeping everyone else down, and gives Batman a chance to side with him or show him the error of his ways. Batman obviously ultimately stops him and finds that this is a kid, no older than his 20s, who took matters into his own hands. Another great reflection of Batman himself, but one that just takes things a little too far and a little too violent. Mad Hatter was pretty slept on overall in the Arkham series, and this game really is no different. He is easily beaten after we go through a ripoff of what Scarecrow makes us do in Asylum. I think his powers of suggestion would be hard to translate into a game, but having a whole level dedicated to maybe escaping Wonderland and saving an Alice would be kind of cool to see as well. Penguin is probably the biggest minor character in this game, as he is new to the scene, but is making waves in the weapons industry. His boat is so cool to explore and such a fun level to play, let alone being extremely thematic for somebody being called the Penguin. I found his interactions with Batman super interesting, as neither really seemed bothered by the other, but kept getting in each other's way. Penguin is trying to collect some dirt on the other villains, and Batman needs said dirt to understand the whole picture. It's mostly a transactional relationship in this game, and I gotta say, I'm here for it, especially with this being an early Batman. Finally, Harley does make her own appearance, but not as the sidekick we know her as, but the actual psychologist she went to school to be. Her role is very minor in this game, being the Joker's psychiatrist when he is first captured. We see her fall for him, seeing him as a broken soul that she can fix. He manipulates her during his origin portion of the game to make her think the special someone he met tonight was her, when in reality he was talking about Batman. Interestingly enough, we don't get to see her turn to villainy in this game, as she actually rats him out to Batman. Why she didn't learn from this first interaction ever is beyond me. But we know she runs back to him in later games, falling into his arms. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, gee whiz, I think we may have glossed over a pretty large character. Like, I don't know, Black Mask? And if that's you, you're right! And that's because I struggle with whether to classify him as a major or minor character. Sure, most of the game we are led to believe that Black Mask is the one running around terrorizing Gotham, but as we've already discussed, that was all Joker in disguise. It's revealed to us that Black Mask is another one of Joker's victims and had his money and image stolen from him to pull off this kind of hunt. Once we free Black Mask from his own steel industry, he basically runs off to hide until we destroy his supply of drugs throughout Gotham. Once we clear the streets of his drugs, Black Mask has one last standoff with us in a church, which amounts to a regular goon fight trying to avoid being shot by him and his henchmen. I would have really liked the story to stay focused on Black Mask, but once Joker is shown to be our big bad, he's definitely pushed to the side, and given a quick ending that I feel he didn't deserve. All in all, Black Mask can be a truly scary villain, with lots of guns, men, and connections that an early Batman could have really struggled with. But I guess I am content that he was given some of the limelight in Origins overall. I can't say enough positive about this game, and while yes, I have made some complaints along the way, I would still point out, to me, those are pretty minor, as I really enjoyed this game. In the very beginning of my playthrough, I stated that I have wanted to replay this game for a long time and was thrilled to see it released to Steam. I have no regrets playing this game again, as it gives me something no other Batman game can right now, which is a new, gritty, ugly, and brutal Batman who is just making a name for himself in the cruelest ways he can without breaking his code. A Batman who is cornered and alone, facing off against both sides of the law with no Robins, Nightwings, or Red Hoods to come save his ass. A Batman who has nothing left to lose and nothing to prove besides I am something you should fear. Hats off to the developers for making this kind of game and this storyline. Even though Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy weren't voices heard in this game, Troy Baker and Roger Craig Smith took on these younger roles and nailed their performance. I would do anything to get a normal platform sequel to this line of Origins to hear them act again and revive this series. I would have to give this specific game, though, a sickshockascore of 8.5 out of 10, given I would have liked some character fights and or interactions to be a little longer or fleshed out more, and the main villain be someone other than the Joker. But seriously, this game is such a great one. Obviously, I will be playing the rest of the series on this channel as well, but there is a reason I started with this one. Not only is it chronologically the first in the series, but the story is so much fun and the setting is so interesting to explore, it truly feels like the perfect start to an amazing series. We've all heard the rumors of a potential revive, and I am begging the developers to make this happen, and the Arkham series is one of the greatest series I have ever played and will continue to replay throughout my life. Thank you for trying something new with this game specifically, and crushing my expectations. I truly was blown away. If you guys are nerds and love Batman and have somehow never played this game or series yet, make this the next game and next series that you guys play. I cannot recommend it enough. But in the meantime, you sickos stay safe out there and keep your noses clean in the streets of Gotham, lest you come face to face with the nasty Bat.